Hi, folks. Let me see how I did on my step goal today. I walked 14,340 steps today. Had a little bit of fun singing some karaoke. I love me some karaoke. Let me say that. Um, so there are some text messages that was released in the Jones versus Abel case, and I will say this. Hey, Christina. I will say this. I I said, does Stephanie Jones just want her feelings hurt? Because one, it doesn't look good to on tag, right? I didn't get to read it fully, but the parts that I did get to read, I'm like, this is not good for tag because it does look like they were involved in the Business Insider article that they claimed they were not involved in. However, it does not look good on Stephanie Jones either. Um, because it's a long list of people who dislike her. Like, if the Stephanie Jones lies or Stephanie Jones this or whatever website, if anything is showed that there are real people who feel exactly that way about Stephanie Jones. So we're going to read some text messages that happened back in March of 2024. Hey, Gelth. Hey, Gloria. So let's take a little bit of time here to read. So the first one is from Rosa at 3:27 on 3/27/2024 at 10:26 a.m. Rosa said he said 4 p.m. Eastern. Hey, Kenny. Melissa said what? Rosa said the guy for the call. Melissa said, oh, LOL. Confirm as KC said fine. She's on a plane right now. I think asleep. Hi, Kiara. Katie says, uh, 11, 12, 1, 2, about 4 hours later, a little less than 4 hours later, Katie says, hi, guys. I'm so sorry. This flight has been a nightmare. 6 hours, no Wi-Fi. The guy next to me has been getting sick the entire time. Someone was almost tackled by the flight attendant. And then Melissa said, this whole thing makes me laugh. Hey, Cammy Danny. And go underscore 001. I'm glad you finally get to catch a live. Melissa said, as it is just on brand. Katie said, meanwhile, I'm just sitting here like staring, right? Anxiously restarting my phone in hopes the Wi-Fi finally works. LOL. Katie says, literally no network for 6 hours. And then has whatever that emoji, like a straight face. I don't know what do you call it. And Melissa said the anxiety just tripled. Katie said, oh, it sure did. I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. LOL. 4 p.m. works great. Thank you for scheduling that. And Melissa loves that. And Rosa says 1 hour to go. I'll call you 5 minutes before, so release the nerves. We can do a 3-way. And Katie says, ha, thank you. Rosa said, then when he calls, we'll put both on speaker. Rosa said, I'm nervous too. Don't worry. And Melissa says, same. Katie says, thank you for facilitating this and making me feel so much better. It's going to be okay. It will need to get this out. It will. We need to get this out. Katie says, luckily, the only distinguishing thing about me is my gender. And like, there's a lot of angry women. Rosa said, is affecting all of our work. LOL. I don't know what all of that means right now. Kiara said, I'm glad you're covering this. I know you will break down what these emails are saying. I'll try my best. If I would have to understand the full context, and I don't know fully yet what the context is about, like what Katie's saying here. Luckily, the only distinguishing thing about me is my gender, and like there's a lot of angry women. I don't know what that means. Go says looking lovely, Baji. Thanks, I appreciate that. Rosa says 30 minutes. Well, also, she's a genuinely bad person. And Melissa said, it honestly is. It's not even personal, even though it is also personal. Katie said, it is. And it isn't like people are out here just trying to do their jobs. They don't need to be bullied day in and day out. Melissa said, exactly. This is greater good. Rosa said, I'll call you guys in 10 minutes. Oh, dokes, says Katie. Thank you. And Rosa said, who would ever bully you, Katie? And Katie says, you'd be surprised. Ha 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 ha. It happens a lot when you have the disposition of a warm hug. And then Rosa sends some sort of a image. And Katie says, how am I doing? Rosa said, I'm kind of weirded out that he said goodbye skyline. Like, how did he see that? Does it really matter? Katie said, where does that show up? Rosa said, I guess he saw it on my Signal account, but my Signal account says my first name is Rosa. And then the last name is Skyline. And then I have a username, but I don't know what other people see, I guess, because I try to make it so you can't see my phone number, but it just says Skyline somehow. Rosa said, but he's supposed to keep everything anonymous, right? And Melissa said, Casey, did you say everything, Anon? Katie says, everything. Melissa said, it will be fine. You're not the story. Don't worry. And Katie said, and also he said, eventually I'll have to know who I'm talking to. So I don't think he knew. And Melissa laughed at, and also he said, eventually I'll have to know who. And Rosa liked that it will be fine. You're not the story. Don't worry. And Rosa says he pretty much said the story was going to be her interaction with the clients versus her interaction with the workplace, which is even better. Katie says, I 100% agree. I said I witnessed animosity with client teams, but the items listed in the email, I could connect him with people who could speak more to it, which is true. And Melissa said, that's an amazing story. Did he say he's spoken to anyone else? Katie will call you. Katie said, are you free now, Melissa? Wait, sorry. And Melissa said, in 4, just paying. Katie said, I misread the text, LOL. Rosa said he's definitely interested, and we should probably connect him with the people that can talk more about the client side, because that's also important for the industry, is the client side, because those are the names that are going to stand out in the publication. Katie says, take your time. I'm tired. Sorry, guys, LOL. And Rosa said, and then something's redacted here. Publicist Stephanie Jones. We know this says EX. What ends in EX? Publicist Stephanie Jones. Oh, ex-publicist. Oh, like they redacted, I think they redacted the client's name. Like ex-publicist, or maybe not somebody's name, but it's ex-publicist Stephanie Jones. Gotcha. Maybe like Tom Brady's ex-publicist, Stephanie Jones. But they show Tom Brady's name later. They also show The Rock's name later. So I don't know who they're redacting here at the moment. Gloria said, this is an honest conversation. It really is. You can tell they're just having just a fun time. Not fun time. I don't know if fun is the right word. Kiara said, see, you are already breaking down these texts. Thanks, Kiara. Okay, gals, do what you need to. Hopefully everything's all right. So Melissa Nathan says Liz. Katie says Natalie. Natalie Goldberg. And then Melissa says, one of the follow-ups should be a recommendation to contact Michelle from Lead regarding The Rock and noting you are doing a story on SJ. And then something's redacted, probably like contact information. Lede, work with him and have the info. And Rosa said, who's supposed to follow up? Melissa said, this is what I think we should do. Just collect everything on that one email with different numbers to be contacted. This is what I think we should do. Just collect everything on that one email with different numbers to be contacted and names and suggestions. Don't you think, Katie? They can take it away from there. Katie said, yes, I think so. Rosa, I can collate for you. And then they end there. I mean, does it look great for tag in the sense of like they acted like they had no association with this whole thing? Yeah, it looks bad. But it also doesn't look bad in the sense of all of it was true. I mean, I shouldn't say all of it was true, but they came at it with people who truly had grievances with Stephanie Jones. Katie said, awesome. This is on 328. Katie says, awesome. Thanks, Goldberg. I know the reporter was keen to work quickly on this, probably before the word gets out. LOL. Michael says, gonna do reach out this AM. Katie says, excellent. I don't know. I forgot how Mr. Barnes said it. Does he say excellent? But that's how I imagine it. Michael says, anyone on your end, Casey? Katie said, I sent them to Melissa already. Katie K said, I was thinking Natalie Carpenter, but I don't know. What do you think? How was she after I left? Okay. Well, this is time now to see who in the world is Natalie Carpenter. So Natalie Carpenter must be Jones Works. Yep. She did work in Jones Works, Natalie Carpenter, or still does. I'm not quite sure. Natalie Carpenter was the manager strategy of Jones Works. Again, may still be. Who knows? Leadership team. Let's see if can't see the org of that. Is there anything else? I mean, she's no longer with Jones Works, obviously. But you have in 2021 to 2023, senior manager talent strategy at Jones Works. Now a director in talent and partnerships at Authentic Brands Group is where Natalie Carpenter now falls. Christina said, I mean, some of the stuff is typical PR, even though it seems shady to us. I mean, I don't think it seems shady to me. I think what's shady is saying that you had nothing to do with it when you did. Like, if they said, yeah, we provided names, we didn't write the article, we didn't tell them what to write. We just said, yeah, we know the history of Stephanie Jones, and yeah, here are some names. They can contact the people. If they admitted to that, then I wouldn't think it's shady. But the minute you lie about stuff and say, like, oh, no, we were never involved in any of it, we were not the ones that did it. And obviously, I don't think they are solely the ones that did it, in the sense of, like, it seemed like that particular person was looking for the story and reached out to them potentially. So it's not, I mean, I don't necessarily think I see that they're the ones that instigated that call, but that when they were reached out to, they were more than happy. They were more than happy to provide the information necessary to get to the article they ended up getting out of it. Gloria said, yeah, I want to see all the text messages and emails that went back and forth between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their PR group. Yes, I want to see that in regards to this. I want to see it. You'll never get to see it. Gloria, you might get to see Blake Lively and her PR person, Leslie Sloan. You might get to see Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds, but you're not going to see things that happen between Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, that still has spousal privilege. I think. Is there spousal privilege when it's not their case anymore, now that I think about it? Maybe there is no spousal. This is a different case. Maybe we are able to see it. Are we able to see it? Does somebody know? Huh. I mean, you can only plead spousal privilege, right? If you're the one how does that work? Does anybody know? Hey, Pam. Hey, Suki. Gloria said, I know, Baji, but I'm willing to bet they had a lot of dirty, disgusting, going back and forth plans to destroy innocent people. Kiara said, that would be awesome, but I don't know. Actually, now I want to know, like, when does spousal privilege apply? Okay, in U.S. law, spousal privilege can mean two different privileges, and they apply in different situations. So, spousal testimonial privilege, being forced to testify against your spouse. It protects against being forced to testify against your spouse, generally in criminal cases while the couple is currently married. Then there's marital communications privileges. That's private communications between spouses that's protected. And that's generally in civil and criminal cases if the communication was confidential and occurred during the marriage. The testimony, so the marital communications privilege is narrower, but can last much longer. It protects confidential things spouses communicate to each other while married. For example, if a husband privately tells his wife something during their marriage, that particular communication may remain protected even after they divorce. How about if the lawsuit is not with any of the spouses, but instead their PR team? Oh, the marital communications privilege could still apply, even though neither spouse is a party to the lawsuit. What matters is whether someone is trying to obtain a confidential communication that one spouse made to the other during the marriage. But, yeah. Okay. So if the husband privately texts wife about the PR controversy, marital privilege potentially applies, possibly yes. If the wife privately tells husband what she thinks happens, that's also a possibly yes. If the husband, wife, and PR executive are on a group text, that's usually no. No marital privilege there, obviously. Husband emails PR firm and copies wife, usually no marital privilege. Wife tells husband, tell our publicist X, much weaker privilege argument. PR executive tells wife something and wife later tells husband, only the private spouse communication might potentially be protected. Husband observes wife meeting with PR people. His observation itself generally isn't a confidential marital communication. So, I mean, it depends. It depends. So we shall see. Okay. Going back to the text messages. So Pam said, law is always, it depends. Michael said, Cara Doran is pulling together. Katie said, okay, excellent. Michael says Kara is in, Kylie is in, SJ old assistant, Emily Mara is in, and also getting other people. Woo-wee. I mean, this is why I'm saying that Stephanie Jones was out here trying to hurt her own feelings. You know? Like, why are you putting yourself on blast this way? Emily Nara. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. Sorry. I'm just looking at some information on Jones' works. Emily Nara. Okay. Sorry. I got sidetracked by trying to look at who these people are. Pam said, can't imagine we will see anything between Blake and Ryan, though, but maybe each of them separate texting Jones. Or just within the Leslie Sloan text messages, possibly, too. Michael said, Liz said, Kylie's the perfect one for this, to be honest, because she won't get petty like Alexa. But she saw so much of the true lore behind the scenes. Rosa said, are they going in anonymous? Michael said, I can't imagine anyone will not want to be anonymous. Rosa said, if so, we should just create Zoom links for all of these and have him join on there. I can't imagine this on my phone. And Michael said, I mean, we are providing emails. Kiara said, since Jones said unseal everything, I doubt there is anything good to see. Wait, is that the Jed case? So many suits going on. It turned the deposition that I was talking about where they put in the like 24 pages and it was only like 20 pages were redacted and 4 pages only unredacted Ezra Hudson and Babcock. I think I have to look at what the purpose of the deposition was, but I think it might be to try to prove to the judge that, like, wait a minute, I literally, we already stated to them that we weren't getting a chance to question her on the merits of anything. And they're saying that we already got the information that we needed for this thing back then. That's not true. And here's the deposition that shows that we had a whole argument about the fact that we're not asking anything of merits around the Texas case or whatever. As my guess. I haven't had an opportunity to read it. I believe that hold on, let me check. But hopefully they will unseal it. So we shall see. Glory said, but also don't forget, Stephanie Jones is vengeful, and she could very well be pissed off at both Blake and Ryan for number one, settling, and number two, possibly not paying her bills anymore. I mean, it definitely certainly looks like it. Rosa said, are they going in anonymous? And Michael says, I can't imagine anyone will not want to be anonymous. Rosa said, oh, I read all of this already. Okay, so he said, I'll go scroll down here. Michael said, so at this point, it doesn't matter. But yes, he should open up a conference line or something. Rosa said, anonymous meaning like the way Katie did it with 2 phones on speaker. Michael said, we are providing them a list of names and email addresses. Rosa said, yes, okay, great. And then here is what I'm like, they totally just, Stephanie Jones just wants, you know, Stephanie Jones just wants like her feelings hurts, because then here's the list of names. She said, Michael said, Christina Cancesco, consumer VP who left for multiple reasons, but big racial component. Fanta Diallo, left citing diversity issues. Rebecca Taylor, not only one of the worst firing situations, but this got deep with Steph, going through her email, asking me to call Verizon to obtain phone and text records. Sounds very Stephanie Jones, don't we know? I mean, so this is an MO from Stephanie Jones? Lindsay Shane, one of the worst firings I witnessed at JW. Alex Manaseri, SAE, extremely bad firing situation for no reason, was harassed after she left with false accusations. Kevin Bonner, previously assistant to Tom Brady, left to go back to work at Shadow Lion TV production company and has a lot of people in Tom's orbit who have previously said they want to speak out on her. Alexa Cercelli, one of the EAs who worked with me in Steph's office, was fired for no reason and was sent legal letters. Emily Sherwood, another EA who worked in Steph's office. Sierra McElroy, early social hire, worked closely with me for SJ personal stuff and was abused bad. Manon Perry, same as Sierra, but even worse. Can't stress enough how much the below finance operation execs below were put through the ringer and should absolutely be connected. Elise, Chris, plus Joan. Joan Amoris, Chris Gonzalez, Leo Botelho, Regina Kaufman. All of that was from Emily Mara. And again, Emily Mara was... Who was Emily Mara again? I don't remember who Emily Mara is, but Emily Mara provided all of those names. Gloria says, see how evil this woman is. She fires a woman with no excuse and then sends her a legal letter for what? Kenny said, I'm packing and getting ready to go camping on the river for the weekend. Enjoy, Kenny. All right. Melissa said, can we pass on email addresses? Also, Claire, too, Ashley's friend. And Michael said, we have better than Claire. And Melissa said, all those people will speak. This is amazing. Katie said, this is amazing and sad. And Michael said, I haven't spoken to everyone, but I would say almost all would 100% speak. There are a few I haven't spoken to in some time, like Emily Sherwood, maybe wouldn't, but majority, yeah. Kevin Bonner plus everyone in Tom Brady's orbit are like locked and loaded, waiting for this. Very big names associated with Tom. And Rosa said, what's weird is there are 50 to 100 employees. And then Michael said from, and then it was redacted. And Katie emphasized Rosa's text messages. And Katie said, yep, and just a revolving door. And Katie emphasized the text. And Rosa says, like, do they even have that much work? And Michael said, no. They put like 6 people in a $5,000 a month client. She's a moron. And then Melissa says, Tom Brady's team hates her. So TB hates her. Michael said, yes, it seems so. We're going to have a list of 500. And Michael says Cara Doran, Christy Dishner, Kylie Ruggles, Jasmine Jones, Stacey Perry, Christine Obiamalu, Jim DeLulio. And Michael says, more coming. Rosa says, should I send this or wait? Melissa said, yeah, but let's write an email with all those things explaining why he should talk to them, then provide it. Michael said, wait, more is coming. Katie said, I can draft the shell, then we can add the emails. Does that work to help expedite things? Gloria said, so now Stephanie Jones has a list of people that she's going to go after one way or another. I mean, she already had, technically. That's why they wanted to speak out. Pam says, I'm hoping Lyman doesn't awards 47.1 just because you're going camping. Want Blake to remain in the hot seat in Texas until that judge makes her sit for another depo. Michael says, Christina Cancesco, LinkedIn profile here. Fanta Diallo, LinkedIn profile here. Pia Malihi, Kevin Bonner, Alexa Kelly, Sally, Ciara McElroy, Alex Manassieri, Cara Nardoni, Joanne Amarise, Chris Gonzalez, Regina Kaufman, Rebecca Taylor, I need to give her a call to give her a heads up. Manon Perry, I need to give her a call to give her a heads up, waiting to hear back. Lindsay Shane, I need to give her a call to give her a heads up, waiting to hear back. And that's from and then Emily Mara. And Melissa said, OMG, this is also amazing. Michael said, by the way, every single person is pumped to speak to them. And from Cara. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much of an awful boss and an awful like PR person you had to be that these folks were pumped to be able to talk about everything that she made them, what she put them through? You know what I mean? Glory said also, one of these people could have created that Stephanie Jones Sucks website. One of these people. Also, it was credited, I feel like, to The Rock. The Rock requested it or something like that. I have to re-find that text message. Glory said, oh, I want this to go to trial. I want it to be live streamed. I want this like I want oxygen. Melissa said, MG, you pulled out the gold. Michael says, pun intended? Wait, Emily works with Christy and Jacqueline. Is that going to be an... Katie said, wait, Emily works with Christy. Michael said, and Jacqueline. Katie said, is that going to be an issue? Katie said, Christy cannot be trusted. Michael said, nah. Katie said, okay, just making sure. Okay, excuse me. Why can't this Christy person be trusted? Also, why did Melissa Nathan act like Katie was lying on her deposition? Katie's totally telling the truth about things. She has been that's why I said there's things beyond Melissa Nathan that shows that Katie was telling the truth. But I'm like, but why did she do that? Because like, to me, Katie, well, I mean, Katie had to make that decision for her. Yeah, I want to know who Christy is too, Pam. Kenny said, we deserve to see something play out. We are also selfish. Katie said, but wow, this is amazing. Rosa said, OMG, he knows my name. I didn't know it shows my name on Signal when I put my number private. Michael said, who? Rosa said, WTF, is anything anonymous? Rosa, no. No. And then there is a screenshot by Jack Newsom. Katie, meet Rosa. Rosa, meet Katie, who's teaming up with me on this. Please let us know when others you're in touch with are willing to talk. And Michael says full name. Rosa said, for F's sake. No, just my first name and Skyline, LOL. Michael said, put your name in quotes. Haha. Yesterday he called me Skyline. Actually, Katie, he called her Skyline over the phone. And Katie's like, ... Okay, so who's Jack Newsom? Is Jack Newsom a news reporter? Who's Jack Newsom? I'm not finding who that is. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a Jack Newsom. I don't know. Oh, never mind. No, that's somebody else. That's a musician. Okay. I don't know who that is then. Hi, Love is Richly Golden. What are you reading from? Are these unsealed docs? They are unsealed docs in the Jones versus Abel case. Hey, Confessions of a Jaded Optimist. Kiara said, so I'm slow in understanding. Is this for the Stephanie Jones smear website? What did this have to do with Baldoni? So confusing. This is for the Jones versus Abel case. I don't think it proves anything with the smear site, but it does show things in regards to their involvement in the Business Insider article that Katie Warren did. Katie said, well, I think it's okay. I spoke off record, and there are people who will speak on record, I'm sure. Rosa said, Katie, oops. And Katie said, how weird is that? Rosa said, I don't care just as long as they don't Google me, LOL. Because I will show up, LOL, as Rosa Skyline. I guess it doesn't matter. And then Michael says, Stacey Perry can speak about health issues, client issues, racism/abuse. Cara Doran can speak about personal issues, mental health, toxicity, speaking to clients' teams. Christy Dishner can speak about personal issues, loss of mother, toxicity, being forced to move across country. Kylie Ruggles can speak as her former assistant and about how Steph tried to get her fired at her new job. Oh my word. She would. She totally would. She is that vindictive, I'm sure. Jasmine says, can speak about being racism, fired without warning, her first day on the job, and taking the heat for a Tom Brady issue she wasn't privy to on her first day. Stacey said, can speak on health scares, verbal abuse, racism, demotion, and lack of pay. Jim DeLulio said, former recruiter who was never paid. Robin Bond, Chris Hemsworth's publicist, blocked on Jonesworks IG by Steph. Jackie Wigman said Chris Hemsworth's former agent. Amber Clapp says works with Giselle, blocked on Jonesworks IG by Steph. Ben Rawitz, Tom Brady partner, blocked on Jonesworks IG by Steph. Katie says, the guy didn't even know who Jonesworks was. I'm sure it's fine, LOL. And Katie emphasized the text, and Rosa said, oh boy. Then Rosa sends another screenshot and says, hi, Katie. And Katie Warren says, hi, Rosa. Great to connect. Thanks, Jack. Rosa, any chance you're free to hop on a quick call sometime this afternoon? And so again, this shows that they were but I don't think, I'm trying to think of how they phrased it. I'm trying to remember their denial. Because I'm like, did they like thread the needle on the denial? of their involvement with Business Insider. Because we knew that they talked to Business Insider. There's no doubt about that. We knew that from the get go. The question was, were they the ones that instigated it? And I don't think they did. But I got to reread what they answered when they asked them the question of, like, did you provide names? Unless they asked that to Jen and not to Melissa. But why would they not ask Melissa? They would have probably asked Melissa too. But I just read the deposition of Melissa to y'all just recently, and I don't recall them ever asking about the Business Insider on hers. It makes me want to read Jen's. Have we read Jen's deposition recently? Did we do that? Everything kind of melts together in my brain. I feel like we did. Like, I mean, when I say recently, I mean like super recently. I feel like I did. Let me look at my downloads. Did I have a Gen one recently? Because who was asked about Business Insider? Oh no, because hers was 85 pages. So I feel like I didn't. Because when did I last? Sorry. The last time I downloaded this one has been a while, I think. If I even did. A show that I have. Anyways, it wasn't recently. I might read that. I don't know. That's really long. But I feel like there's something there. Oh, that's smart. Can I scan the deposition for a word? You're smart. Let me see if I can. I mean, I should be able to. Nah, it's nothing. Nothing pulls up. So maybe they didn't ask her. Somebody got asked, and somebody denied it. But I have to remember where that is now. Somebody denied it somewhere, but I don't recall where I saw that. I thought maybe Melissa did, but we just recently read her deposition, and I don't recall them asking anything Business Insider related. I could be wrong though. Stay safe over there, Gloria. I don't know how serious of a dust storm. When you say serious dust storm, I don't know what that typically looks like. Um, let's see, where did it go? Kenny says, Baji, I learned in DFJ's live that when you say something like, to my knowledge, no, when being deposed, it has to do with like not remembering. In this case, it was as if they had ever met someone, and she apparently they came into the store, but I don't remember meeting them. So it's like it could have happened, but to my knowledge, no, or whatever the statement was. Interesting. Okay, so to my knowledge, no means it has to do with like not remembering. Okay. Okay. So a firm no is like, I remember no, versus like, I don't know. But wouldn't that be just, I don't know more than no? Or is it like more than I don't know? It's like, I don't know is just saying like, I genuinely don't know, versus like, I'm leaning towards no, but I'm not definitive, but I'm more definitive than an I don't know. Um, mm. Kenny said that was what I got from it because she explained why she said it that way. Kenny said because she knew they supposedly came in at some point, but she had no knowledge of meeting them. Gloria said, yeah, we are really getting slammed right now. It's pouring rain. We had the dust. It's pouring rain, very windy, and my roof is popping. I'll stay safe there. Katie said, it's fine. I think we just stick with the plan and send the note we're planning to send. We already had the initial call. We sent the email. We can send the details and let them loose from there. And Michael said, Claire Collins, freelancer who worked with Jones Works and me on Chris' account. Happy to share her experience. That's regarding Robin Baum. Suggestion is for them to reach out to her. She doesn't know about it though, but they shared Chris' account. And Melissa Nathan sent something, probably the information on Robin, and said, send that too. And Katie said, excellent. Michael said, Business Insider just called me. Let me call them back. Rosa said, dang, that's a lot of people. Michael said, hi, Michael. This is Katie Warren, a features reporter for Business Insider. I'm hoping to chat with you for a story I'm working on. Any chance you're free for a quick call so I can explain further? Okay, then they're not lying. They're not lying. They're not the ones that instigated the Business Insider. They got reached out to, and they were more than happy. They were more than happy to provide some names to help out the research. But they're not the ones who made it happen. But they were more than happy to line up some people ready to say, spill the tea. They were ready to have somebody spill the tea. Kiara said, do we know why this even started with Insider? Was it because Tom Brady dropped her? I don't know. But just the fact that Katie Warren is introducing things like this to Michael Goldberg, it's clear that the story did not originate with Tag. Tag is just more than happy to say, yeah, here's some names. Here's a lot of names. Rosa said, wait, how? I didn't give any names yet. Probably from the screenshot. But then, I have to reread the first set of text messages because I forgot that Rosa and her had talked to Jack Newsom anonymously. Now I'm actually not sure. Now that I'm rethinking about it. Was it them or was it not them? Because now I'm starting to think about the fact that I would need to know who got in contact with Jack Newsom first. Did Jack Newsom reach out to them? No, he couldn't have reached out to them. They didn't even know it was Rosa. She was trying to remain anonymous via Signal, and that's why she freaked out when he knew her name. So maybe Tag was still in it, now that I think about it a little bit more. Gloria said, and with this many people willing to say, hey, I'm willing to speak out about Stephanie Jones, it tells you she is pure nightmare fuel. Pam said, yeah, are they all lying? Doubtful. I mean, here I think they're being honest about their thoughts. Or are you talking about all the people that wanted to talk about Stephanie Jones? Gloria said, yeah, and according to Blake Lively, dim-witted supporters, if you have more than one person complaining, that makes it the truth. How many was in this willing to speak out? It looks like almost 100 people. Uh, I mean, not 100 people, but a lot of people. Yeah, and they were willing to put their names to it. You know, Kiara said, I would never survive in that business. It is like a snake pit. True, true. But Rosa said, wait, how? I didn't give any names yet. Katie said, probably from the screenshot. Rosa said, oh, yes. They are in a rush, it seems. But it looks like we have a story. Okay. So I do, now that I think about it, I do think Tag was the reason. I think it seems like that maybe they talked to Jack Newsom anonymously, and then he connected them to Katie, who wanted to write a story on it. Melissa said, we have a story. Katie, collate all on email and let's send that. Pam said, yep, there must be truth to the article if everyone's story is similar. Michael said, how did she get my number? Melissa said, now-ish, if okay. You know how. MH. MH? Who's MH? Oh, Matthew Hiltzig. I was like, who's MH? Matthew Hiltzig. Matthew Hiltzig gave Michael Goldberg's number. Got it. Katie K says, yes, I'm working on it now. And Michael goes, MH. And then, like me, he thought about it and he's like, okay. I picked up what you were putting down. Because at first I was like, who's MH? And Michael's like, MH? Okay. Okay. I like the fact that I could feel Michael Goldberg's thought pattern was just like myself. Literally when he typed MH. Like, MH? Okay. Gotcha. Kiara said, that is why I knew you would be breaking this down. Christina felt like what I did was awesome. Thanks. Are you talking about the MH thing or something else? I mean, I can't think of anything else I did aside from the MH thing. But honestly, because let me see if let me see here. Michael Goldberg is a public relations and communications person, self-employed. He was the vice president of Jones Works from November 2021 to August 2022, for 10 months. But he was with Hiltzig Strategies for 9 years and 2 months, also as a vice president. So you know that I'm correctamundo about that because he did work with Matthew Hiltzig. Christina said, yes, the MH thing. You have a beautiful brain, Bocce, in the least creepy way possible. Kiara said, I need to have it in C spot run format. LOL. Yes, you are good at decoding these texts. Why am I good at decoding a text and I have the worst time with typos? Like, why can't I pick a context clue with typos? But I can pick up MH is Matthew Hiltzig. But I'm like, what does this one typo mean? Gloria said, yeah, what Stephanie Jones thought was kerosene and she threw her match on it, backfired badly on her, blew back to her house of cards and set the whole thing on fire. Pam said, I'm guessing SJ has a lot of regrets. And Christina said, good at decoding a text, but not a typo. 100%. Yeah, I'm amused by myself. Rosa said, the screenshot does not have your number, Michael. Okay, just double checking that. And then Rosa sent the picture showing it's Michael Goldberg right there, but not having, the numbers there. Katie said, it's from Matthew. Okay, thank you, Katie. You just confirmed. You just confirmed what I told everybody, which is this Matthew Hiltzig. Kiara said, I would think that BL and RR would be pissed at SJ for effing this all up and blowing up everyone's spot. Melissa said, I told you this morning, Matthew told me he gave your number and my number. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Now my opinion has changed again. If Matthew Hiltzig is providing Melissa's number and Michael's number to Katie, did it come from Matthew Hiltzig, or did Rosa say did Rosa and Katie, no, maybe just Rosa, did Rosa in her meeting with Jack say Matthew, who then gave everybody's number? Oh, I don't know. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. I hope your shoulder and back start to feel better there, Gelth. Gloria said, okay, if my power goes out, I may not be here because that means the internet went down. Understandable, Gloria. Stay safe again. Pam said, did Rosa contact Matthew and then he gave numbers out? Melissa said, I told you this morning, Matthew told me he gave your number and my number. That means that most likely Melissa got a text message or a call from Matthew advising her that he got reached out to by Katie Warren. It's just a question of, did Rosa suggest to Katie? Well, she can't. She can't. She can't, because she literally just talked to Katie up here. So she can't have been the one to suggest it to Katie. She literally freaked out about this text message at 1:58 because she's like, how does he know me? How does he know my name? How? So she was freaking out about that. So it can't be that either. That's why I got to reread. But it's very clear. Like, why were they talking to Jack Newsom secretly? I mean, like, anonymously. I got to reread the first text message now after this. Katie said, just sent you the draft. Rosa said, to me? Melissa said, no, to me and MG. We are tweaking. Guys, though, we did it. Okay. That answers my question. They did it. I think they're the ones who tried to get this story written, and they accomplished it. So on one hand, it does not look good for Tag. But on the other hand, they weren't making anything up. All of these people, all of these people did want to talk. Some on record, some not on record. Kiara said, can it be a smear if it's true? Some people say, I've had people say yes. I think a smear has to be false, but people have said a smear can be truthful things that are just negative. But I'm like, is it negative or is it just truthful? Some truthful things, I suppose, are negative, but. So when you look up smear, it's to damage the reputation of someone by false accusations, and it should be slander. That's why I don't think smears can be about truthful things. I think it could be a negative campaign, but I don't think it's a smear campaign. Because in order for it to be legitimately a smear, it has to damage the reputation of someone by false accusations. But if you're telling truthful things, that's negative. It's just negative, but it's not a smear, in my opinion. Melissa says, thank you for your time yesterday. We look forward to continuing to work with you and addressing your questions posed during our conversation. Collated here are suggested individuals with whom to connect with, noting you are pursuing the story. Regarding clients, The Rock. This is in regards to the interactions discussed in the original email. Michelle Margolis. Amazon Prime. This is in regards to the interactions discussed in the original email. Michael Goldberg. Liz Keller. Tom Brady. This is in regards to the interactions discussed in the original email. Kevin Bonner. Ben Rawitz, partner of Tom Brady, who has been blocked on IG by Jonesworks. Chris Hemsworth. This is in regards to the interactions discussed in the original email. Robin Baum. Jackie Wigman. Chris Hemsworth's former agent. Claire Collins, former freelancer who worked with Jonesworks on the Chris Hemsworth's account and can share her experience. Robin Baum, Chris Hemsworth's publicist who has been blocked on IG by Jonesworks. General clients. This is in regards to interactions outside of what was discussed in the original email. Cara Doran, regarding competitors. Matthew Hiltzig, regarding general internal and external issues. Christine Dishner can speak about personal issues, mental health issues, toxicity, being forced to move across the country. Kylie Ruggles can speak as Stephanie's former assistant and how Stephanie tried to get her fired from her new job. Jasmine Jones can speak about racism she experienced getting fired without warning and about a Tom Brady issue. Stacey Perry can speak about health scares, verbal abuse, racism, demotion, and lack of pay. Jim DeLulio can speak as a former recruiter who was never paid. Alexa Selly can speak about being fired for no reason and being sent legal letters. Sierra McElroy can speak to a large amount of abuse she experienced. Additional individuals for further conversations as needed. Christine Abimalu, Christina Cansesco, Fanta Diallo, Alex Manassieri, Joanne Amores, Chris Gonzalez, Regina Kaufman, Pia Malihi, Cara Nardoni, and Emily Mara. Katie said, woof. Rosa said, should I send? Melissa said, Rosa, if you send this, and then our job. Melissa said, Rosa, if you send this, and then our job is done. Teamwork makes the dream work. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, isn't that just pitching a story? That's not really that bad to me. I feel like whatever's redacted, yeah, our telephone numbers. I agree, Gloria. Something that it's like it shares too much. Most likely a phone number. But I mean, now that I see this, the fact that she goes, okay, if you send this, then our job is done. That means they're no longer there. It's not like they're influencing what's going to be written. They just gave them the resources to write their story. I don't see anything. I don't see a problem with that, to be honest. To me, it's like people pitch stories all the time and then give people ideas of who they can interview if they wanted. That doesn't mean that they're going to interview the people. It doesn't mean that that's, they just trusted if you look into this, you're going to find a slew of things. You know what I mean? And it looks like Stephanie Jones was well aware of this article being written about her very early on, because I remember Jen Abel talking about how Stephanie Jones told her about it. So she knew way before July that there was an article being written about her. Katie said, I can't believe there's so many people. Melissa said, I can. Rosa said, holy, and then sent. Melissa loved that. And Katie says, wowza, thank you. Rosa said, MG, did you talk to her? They never responded to my massive message, LOL. They're probably like, and Michael said, I spoke to her, yeah, texted her 3 numbers. Rosa said, what did she say? Melissa emphasized that. And Katie says, tell us. And then Michael sends a screenshot, which is redacted. Boo. I want to know what they said too. I'm a nosy Nelly. Melissa said, loved that image. Michael said, I'll type a bit later. I'll type a bit later. Haha, but went well. Melissa said, redacted is so happy SJ is going down. Katie said, oh my gosh, what a little small bean. Rosa said, cute. Michael said, reporter reached out to Kara already. Katie said, this chick is intrigued, LOL. Michael said, I did great, if I do say so myself. Also, she had no idea what she's in for once she gets to Kara and Emily Mara. Katie said, I believe you did awesome. Ha 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 ha. They have some venom, I'm sure. Rosa loved that. And then Rosa says, collated here. Like it shows the email that she put. And then Jack said, yeah, quick question. Are all of these people expecting us to reach out? Or is there anything we can say that you think will prompt them to open up? And Melissa said, they won't need much to open up. Oh, Stephanie Jones, why are you out here trying to get your feelings hurt? Why? I don't understand. Kiara said, I hope Lyman is taking so long in the feast for Blake because he has to explain how he got to 0. Yeah. Pam said, oh, Pam hopes for that too. That would be amazing. Prish, hey. And Melissa said, they won't need much to open up. Most of them are expecting it, right, Michael? Michael said, yes, no, redacted, are chatting tomorrow. Katie says, go off. Liz had a horrible story. And so Rosa sent a screenshot of her saying, yes, everyone provided is aware and all expecting you to reach out. Did you see the full message that was sent here? And Jack said, yes. And then Rosa said, okay, just making sure. And she goes, this guy, at least acknowledge it was received, sir. Katie says, LOL. Melissa said, LOL. Katie said, he's a bit awkward. Oh, great. I'm sure he's thrilled to read that, Katie. Rosa said, he is not good at interviewing. Well, it's a good thing he's not the interviewer. And it ended up being Katie Warren. So interesting. Okay. I don't know why they gave the same text message twice. I don't know if there's a purpose, but they wait, it must have been coming from 2 different people. One was Kate. No, this is both Katie case. Why did they? It's both 63 minutes. Why did they do both? 2:59. I mean, what is this? Exhibit 13. The Wayfarer parties respectfully submit their proposed redactions for Exhibits B, 7, 8, and 13 with this letter. Exhibits B and 13 were produced by a non-party to this action, Katie Case, who designated them confidential. Prior to filing their proposed redactions to Exhibit B and 13, the counsel for the Wayfarer parties met and conferred with counsel for Katie Case, who advised that she does not object to their public filing. Okay, but it's the same thing. So I don't know if it's worth going back and forth to see what the difference is. There is no difference. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. And this one is one that we've already seen. So I'm just going to read the one here in case to jog your memory. This is August 5th. Melissa sends something. And then on August 6th, Katie K says, "Good morning. Sorry I missed your call. I was asleep. Do you mind filling me in on this when you can this morning?" And Melissa says, Melissa sends a text message. It says, "There is a thread for anything related that we have with Jones Works for reasons that you are aware that have nothing to do with me. Jen, is there only a few more weeks, which is a real shame, especially for me, as she is the one that does the actual work and it's really great. You and I need to discuss where you see this realistically going." And Katie said, "Good for you. I, in my opinion, would love." And Melissa says, "He cannot expect us to work with Stephanie. I won't do it." Katie said, "It's just not possible. Oh my gosh, wait. What if you use the Business Insider thing as a reason not to do it? This really showcases how little she can be trusted. I don't want her interacting with my team. We're working too hard, and I'm worried about details being leaked internationally if there's a difference of opinion. It's so important to protect reputations. Or is that too much? Working with Jen and Matthew is fine, but she can't be trusted." Melissa said, "I have said that 500 times. Katie said, "True. This article needs to run. He needs to see it." Also, "Hi, how are you?" Melissa says, "It's 6:30. I'm already trying to kill one Rebel story and dealing with Mattel loss for Brian." So basically, Rebel wants one of those sites. Katie says, "I know, I'm sorry, and okay." Melissa said, "Should be a mixture of that document that I think Carolina pulled about Amanda, Ghost, or the intern pulled the voice note and this, or the intern pulled the voice note and this." I wonder what document Carolina pulled about Amanda Ghost. I've always wondered that because I knew she mentioned Carolina pulling something for Amanda Ghost. I was just thinking about Hayden Panettiere and like the woman that this has nothing to do with Amanda Ghost, but it just made me think about it for a second. But how like there was this woman that brought her into that guy's like room or whatever, and she tried to hide in the yacht. And somebody made a video making a really good case of who the woman would be. She made a really good case. We don't know for sure definitively, but she made a really good case as to the possibility of who it is and who the guy was. And yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get off topic if I think about that a little bit. Pam said they must all be absolutely furious with SJ for uncovering how things work behind the scenes. Katie said, okie dokes, I'll pull this together this morning. Melissa says, thank you. It can be really, really harsh. And then link it to Jed S. voice thing. I just can't deal with this SB stuff. What is wrong with him? Katie K says, love that. And said, I'm not entirely sure, but I will resurface my one of her kids is his theory because anything else does not make sense. Melissa said, yep, I checked in with Jen personally while I sent her that screenshot. Do you want to check in with a group and just seeing how day 2 is going? Katie said, yes, so far nothing bad on JB in the press that's run from yesterday, so everyone ostensibly is playing nice. Melissa said they are, but definitely check. And Katie said, I did. And Melissa said, Len, Russian oligarchs and making her a madam, basically, LOL, said Jed. Katie said, oh my God, LOL, okay, this one will be fun. See, again, why does Melissa act like these text messages don't exist? Why lie? And why say Katie's lying? She's not lying. SB, yeah, probably Scooter Braun. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Scooter Braun. They all work by initials because it can help hide who you're talking about. But it's easy to know who they're talking about after a while if you're reading all these texts. Kiara said, yeah, plus to say would be fun. Yeah. I mean, as a reminder, too, to folks, like, I think they do stuff like this because when the hit piece went out on the New York Times, I think it was Brianna Coslow that was like, the one time that we don't do anything. The one time that we don't do anything and and we get sued, that tells you that they do this. They must do this more often than not because they said the one time we don't, that's when we get sued. And Katie sends a screenshot that says, from Jen, that says, sorry, I'm so behind. And oh my gosh, don't be. And said, good morning. I hope you're doing okay. Very quick question. Would you like me to join you and Matthew for the premiere? You guys absolutely have to stay in the back as the crisis person, LOL. But I always like to ask, just in case, an extra set of hands is needed. And Jen said, I appreciate you offering, but I think we are all set. She goes, LOL. I do hope this is a nice reminder of how PR should work together and not just butt their way into any possible situation by force. Melissa said, sure, but I still don't trust this woman as far as I could throw her. Katie says, absolutely not. She's not trustworthy. Melissa said, not one bit. She didn't answer my text. That speaks volumes. I mean, it's hard for, oh my word, Melissa, I don't think you're trustworthy. But y'all talk behind each other's back. I understand the level of distrust that you all have of each other. Rightfully so. Katie says that's not good. She's also been an absolute idiot to go back on leaving. But in that case, you know where she stands. But Melissa said, but also she screenshot me some, so you know. Katie says, oh, I know, but still. I'd be the most embarrassed if I quit and then come back. But SJ might have offered her tons of money or something. Have you and Redacted chatted about the Redacted press preview on the 14th? They've asked if Redacted can do it in the Redacted and happy to check in, but didn't want to if you've already discussed. Melissa said, defo check in. Katie Case says, oak dokes, just wanted to make sure. Melissa says, migraine incoming. I have to drive to this effing meeting. Do you think you'll have that copy for Jed today? Because I need to make it really hammy. Katie said, yes, I'm going to draft in between this call and I'm currently on currently in my next call, but it should have before 3:30 p.m. ET. Katie said, I'm so sorry about the migraine. And Melissa says, I'm going to take a quick shower and just try and get in the car and muddle my way through this meeting. Katie said, okay, good luck. And please don't push yourself too hard if you have a bad migraine. Okay, running a little behind. We'll have it in the next 45 minutes to you. Katie said, is Jed doing anything on Justin? I'm having Zoe monitor, but that's not the same. LOL. Melissa said, not yet. They've not signed him on. And Katie said, "Erg, I wish they'd get a move on. All they care about is social right now, and we can't do anything about it." LOL. Katie said, "Also, are we supposed to do what? Also, what are we supposed to do about a journalist calling her? Like, do your job, Jen." LOL. Melissa said, "Jed and Brian asking me for copy. LOL, kill me." Katie said, "I just sent. Should be in your inbox." Melissa said, "You need to get someone to help you with this. So if Zoe can say the sentiment is positive in this and negative in this, because she's obviously at the screening and can't look at everything like that." Katie said, "I'll ask Zoe to specify, just trying to flag in real time like they asked, but it's all more of the same." And Melissa said, "I know, but I feel like you shouldn't be doing this job." Katie said, "No, it's not our job. LOL. Zoe's flagging to me and I'm sending, but overall social isn't our job. Ha 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 ha. And gosh, they hate me. LOL." That was just the original screenshots, and that was that chat. And but yeah, so I think that I believe that Elsridge and Carol will be reading the deposition of that came in, that was like only 4 pages because the other 20 pages were redacted. Pam, what's the date of these texts? The ones that I just finished reading? August 6th. So the night of the premiere, but not the big premiere, like not the release date, but the premiere, I suppose. August 9th was the actual release date, but August 6th is when they had the premiere where Justin was in the basement. But yeah, so I think Elsridge and Carol are going to be doing a video of the deposition. I wanted to read it for y'all's, but I'm going to hold off until they get to do that, and then I might do it in a live. I mean, again, it would be nicer when all of the pages are unredacted, hopefully. August 8th was a Thursday. August 6th was a Tuesday. Pam said Jed was signed on August 10th. He was signed on August 8th. Let me actually see what Katie Case. Katie Case is 48 pages, so half of the one for Jen Abel, which is good because this should be a fast read. This was on September 5, 2025. I'm gonna pass through a bunch of pages here before I share it on screen. All right. Catherine Case, called as a witness, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Examination by Miss Bender. Good morning, Miss Case. Good morning. Can you please state your full name and address for the record? Catherine Hastings Case. And then name and address is provided. I mean, the address is provided, redacted. And have you ever been deposed before? No. And do you understand that you are under oath during this deposition? Yes. Okay, do you understand that your testimony today carries the same? And then it jumps down to page 31. I'm not entirely sure. What other employees worked at Tag when you joined? Carolina was there, Brianna was there, Riley was there, and Alex was there. That is, and Melissa as well. So six, I suppose. Is that Carolina Hurley, Brianna Coslow, Alex Seeley, and Riley Long? That's correct. And were you more senior than these individuals? Carolina, Brianna, and I would have all been senior level employees. Did you all have the same job title? At the time, I don't believe so. What was your job title? When I started, I was a senior director. After a few months, I became a vice president. And at that time, what were Brianna and Carolina's job titles? Pam said, "Oh, okay. So Kirk Chauncey interview was August 10. Yes, it was August 10. I believe vice president. Did your job title change again during the time that you were at TAG? No. And in August 2024, were you, Brianna, and Carolina all vice presidents at TAG? I believe so, yes. What was Melissa Nathan's reputation in the industry at the time you joined TAG? Melissa is known to be a very successful publicist. Does she have any reputation with respect to crisis work? She is quite renowned in the area of crisis. What do you think makes her so effective? Melissa is incredibly strategic. She's very calm in the face of stress, and she is very good with client management. Does Melissa have significant, and then it jumps down to page 47, colleagues believed at the time that due to the conversation taking place a majority on social, they would benefit from it often. Sometimes in today's landscape, conversations that start in social make their way into traditional media. Yeah, this is Katie Case, Kenny. Did TAG take into account the fact that online conversations make their way into traditional media when it formulated digital and social strategies? Yes. Which of the services that we've discussed did TAG provide to Wayfair and Baldoni? They would have been more of what I refer to as a crisis-based project. So we were brought in because it is my understanding that there were negative overtures being discussed with different media outlets. This was in advance of the New York premiere, and it was important to ensure that the Wayfair parties were protected against negative attacks. When you say negative attacks, what are you referring to? It was my understanding at that time that certain false statements had been made to media in regards to the Wayfair parties. How did you reach that understanding? It was communicated to me that certain stories were being placed with outlets that would be potentially detrimental due to the false nature of the stories. Who communicated that to you? Melissa. Anyone else? It was a topic of discussion on many phone calls. Phone calls with clients who were part of the Wayfair account? That's correct. And who attended those phone calls? It would depend. The first conversation I had was with Jamie and Tara, from where it depended on, Jen Abel would join, Melissa would be on. Sometimes she wasn't able to, sometimes Justin would be on. It depended on who was available. What false statements did you understand had been made to the media? I'm not sure specifically, but it was my understanding at that time that there were certain allegations made about making Miss Lively feel uncomfortable and a separate story about Mr. Baldoni's faith. And at that time, those had, in your view, already been placed. The conversations were ongoing with media. Where did you reach? How did you reach your understanding that these were false in many conversations had with the Wayfarer parties? You based your understanding of their truth or falsity as to these stories, and then it jumps down to page 74. I had never been on a call with a psychic before. Was it unusual to you? In my workday, it was unusual comparatively to most client calls. It was unusual to you, correct? In the scope of most client calls, yes. What about just generally? Was it unusual? I don't. What was the psychic's name? I don't remember. Was it a male? It was. How would individuals at TAG communicate with each other when working on this account? Primarily text. iMessage? Yes. Signal? Not really, no. Sometimes? At times. When would TAG individuals use Signal in lieu of iMessage? If we would speak with Jed, it was primarily over Signal. And why was that? I'm not sure. Was that a Jed's request? No. Who suggested that you use Signal? It was just a form of communication that was used. Do you recall the first time you communicated with Jed on Signal? Not by date specifically, no. Did he text you on Signal? Not individually, but as it related to communications. Did you have a Signal account prior to working at TAG? I believe so, yes. And did you communicate on it? And then it drops down to page 153. Not doing press with other cast members of the film. And just in general, whenever there are certain conversations happening online and a client is going to do a full slate of interviews, it can be helpful to run through messaging, talking points, and things of that nature. And this references navigating obstacles. Do you see that? I do. And it references creative differences. Do you see that? I do. Were these intended to refer to differences with Miss Lively? It was just useful language. He was the director and actor on the film. You know, directing any movie, there's going to be obstacles that a director is faced with. Creative differences is a pretty common phrase used in the entertainment industry. And here was the referring and here was that referring to Miss Lively. It could just be referring to his experience as a director navigating working with a lot of personalities on set. Did you have Miss Lively in mind when you suggested this language? Given that situation, we were accounting for Miss Lively. Do you see at 9:32 a.m. Miss Abel refers to statements made by Mr. Baldoni in the junket, and she says he used the word friction. Do you see that? I do. That's referring to Mr. Baldoni using the word friction. I believe so. I wasn't with him at the interview. And she says, I think it's important to get ahead of it. Do you see that? I do. And what did you understand that to mean? Given the intentional, and then it jumps down. You can put that K case dash 00000386. You can put that document aside. You are being handed what has been marked case exhibit 8. Mr. Friedman, did you mark this as 7? Miss Bender, it was marked as 7, but we are going to discuss case exhibit 8. Okay, this is bait stamp K case dash 0000004949, a text ranging from August 5th to August 6th, 2024. Miss Casey, you recognize this document? I do. What is it? It seems to be a text thread between myself and Melissa. Do you have any reason to think this document is not as it was when it was created? No. If you turn a few pages to where the bait stamps ends in 53, at 1:58, Melissa says to you, I have to drive to this effing meeting. Do you think you'll have that copy for Jed today? Do you see that? I do. Is that referring to Jed Wallace? Yes. What copy were you drafting for Jed Wallace? I believe this is in regards to a client. Which client? Mr. Breed. We will designate it as attorney's eyes only, please. Videographer. Okay. Which client? I believe this was for redacted. Okay, on the next page at 4:46 p.m., Melissa says, Jed and Brian asking me for copy. LOL. Kill me. Do you see that? I do. Who is Brian? I believe Brian Friedman. Brian and Jed were working in collaboration with TAG on the redacted account. I didn't work on that account, so I'm not sure. You worked on the copy that Melissa was requesting for that account, correct? This was a one-off request. So you did some work on that account, correct? Specifically, I assisted with this copy. And you knew that Jed and Brian were working together asking for the copy that you were preparing for that account, correct? Mr. Breed, objection. Mr. Friedman, objection. Melissa alerted me at that time. You knew that both Jed and Brian were to receive the copy, correct? Mr. Breed, objection. Miss Emery, objection. I knew that Melissa needed the copy. For whom? In her text message, she said Jed and Brian were looking for it. Did Mr. Friedman work with Tag and Jed on the Wayfarer account? Not during the summer of 2024. When is your understanding that Mr. Friedman started that work? It is my understanding that it was following Blake's CRD complaint, Civil Rights Department complaint in December. When TAG was looking to identify a subcontractor for digital services in connection with a Wayfarer account, did TAG receive multiple quotes for those services? That was communicated to me by Melissa at the time. And do you know whether TAG received multiple quotes? Melissa told me that there were 2 quotes. Do you know what the quotes were? Offhand, but I can't remember the specific amount. But my assumption is one was from Rosa and one was from Jed, but I can't confirm that. Oh, okay. 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 Sorry, that makes me think about stuff. I want to go back to Blake Lively's lawsuit or CRD complaint. And okay. My assumption is one was from Rosa and one was from Jed, but I can't confirm that. What is Street Relations? It's my understanding that that's Jed's company. And did you and Tag regularly work with Street Relations? Oh, Kiara. No, it doesn't tell us anything more than I wanted to go back to the complaint to see which one would have been Rosa and which one would have been Jed. So this was the original text message. Well, I should say it's not the original text message because the original text message did not have this. It became an infamous line. The original version did not have this line. For some reason, Melissa Nathan was compelled to edit her message and add this line that haunts her to this day, I'm sure. So Melissa to Jen Abel as well as Jamie, because it says, "Hi Jamie, Jen. So incredibly glad that the press went so well today. And from what I know, Justin felt incredibly supported. He is lucky to have you all. We took the day today to do some research and get digital quotes in from the two teams we use that get the best results. As you are both aware, we are in a predicament that we just do not know the outcome of right now. Saying that, full transparency is key here. We have seen the most innocuous issues turn giant due to socials. Well, ain't that the case? Or the hugest crisis have no effects on social whatsoever. You just cannot tell at this stage. But BL does have some of the TS fan base, so we will be taking it extremely seriously. We also understand audience is not solely JB fan base, but the studio, so it is covering all bases time. Quote 1, 175,000. This will be for a 3 to 4 month period and includes website to discuss full Reddit, full social account takedowns, full social crisis team on hand for anything. Engage with audiences in the right way. Start threads of theories to discuss. This is the way to be fully 100% protected. Quote 2, 25,000 per month, minimum 3 months, as it needs to seed same as above. As it needs to seed same as above. But this will be for creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with negative accounts, helping to change narrative and stay on track. All of this will be most importantly untraceable. There's a lot more to both of these quotes, but easier to discuss via phone in terms of capabilities and what I have personally experienced in and out of crisis scenarios. Either way, I do feel it is better to be safe, but I do realize costs are something I'm sure you did not count on when you took on this project nor this situation. Let me know when you would like to discuss more or around on PT tomorrow. M. Okay. Minimum 3 months as it needs to seed same as above. Well, we know quote 2 was definitely Jed Wallace because it's 30,000. But Rosa did get brought in later on after the lawsuit. When it says minimum 3 months as it needs to seed same as above, this will be for creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts, helping to change. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. I need to okay. Hold on. Sorry. I'm gonna be a little bit quiet here, trying to figure out something. Um, wait, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so quote 2 literally is this will be for creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts, helping to change narrative and stay on track. They always presented this quote 1 as if that's what they did, but they always chose quote 2. But there's an email from Katie Case. I need to see that email from Katie Case, because this was done on 8/6. 8/6. And I need to see if when Katie Case originally said something about Lively versus Wayfair. No. Yeah. No. Yes. I wonder if I can find it. I wish I had it off the top of my head. Pam said, well, that's where Blake got the term untraceable. I know. And it's so sad that Melissa Nathan literally adds it. Like, it was not part of the original text message at all. A minute after she sends them this text message, she retracts it and adds the line, all of this will be most importantly untraceable. And I'm sure she wishes she never did that. Kiara said, so does that mean bots? No, it doesn't mean bots. They don't do bots. Pam said, I don't think bots really work anymore. We all recognize the odd script. Yeah, it's not bots. But but it is the question. But I think this is why they discuss is that the idea of like, was there astroturfing, right? Remember that when she used astroturfing in the beginning and then stopped using it. Let me see if trying to remember what email she sends where she talks about the quote. Okay, here we go. Yay! I was able to find it. Let me download it. So it's the next day. It's the next day. So 8/7, they're talking about the two quotes. Okay. They don't hire Jed until the day after this. Okay. So what did they say here? It says, hi all, I hope everyone is well. Following up on the social digital conversation this morning with specifics regarding social and digital mitigation and remediation. The team will focus on the social and digital elements, boosting SEO efforts and updating with new content to enforce SEO efforts, monitoring and directly influencing forums that are working against Justin and Wayfair to adjust the narrative in real time, and collate assets and background to work in conjunction with Jen and her team, as well as tag PR. The integral part here is to execute all without fingerprints. Specific efforts include monitor and report forum threads, sites, links, and more that are working against Wayfair Studios. Just in the overall narrative, as well as derogatory comments. Leverage relationships with Discord, Reddit, X, IG, TikTok, YouTube, etc. to expose behavior of Blake and other parties, both current and past, and engage directly with communities to adjust or influence the conversations taking place in real time. Utilize CTR manipulation and contextual links to push up positive PR to change subject matter opinion on the first page of Google. Work to remove links that are harmful to Wayfair Studios, Justin, and the narrative alongside the appropriate teams. Disavow and report outdated or cached non-relevant links and clean up spam and or negative links that are ranked within the SRPs as needed. Properly and strategically monitor damaging Reddit, subreddits, X, Discord, etc., including threads related to concerning opposition, and manage the narrative. This can be done with legacy admin for each platform. As part of this, expert admins will also monitor and protect peripheral elements like Wikipedia, fan pages, and more to ensure threads and narratives are handled appropriately. Actively sway the algorithm with one SEO charged hub site created and overseen by the team. Taking down full Reddit and all social accounts as needed. Organically engaging with audiences in the right way, starting threads with theories the team approves of, and asking questions that no longer place Wayfair and Justin on the back foot. Changing the overall narrative and helping keep it on track. The social team are now worried about Blake activating the Taylor Swift fan base, which is a major concern. With this in mind, and to ensure Justin and the studio are 100% protected moving forward, they have now changed the fee to $30,000 per month due to the uptick in social chatter. Please let us know either way as well if you have any questions. Okay, so he is offering all of these things. All of this is being offered. Pam said throwaway accounts. I mean, we saw Jed's contract. I guess we haven't seen that. Okay, so this is so when I put that in, this is I ask the question, are these normal PR tactics? And the answer is no. Some of what is described is completely ordinary crisis PR and reputation management, but several of the tactics in this document go well beyond what I would call routine PR. The document appears to mix standard PR, online reputation management, SEO, platform moderation efforts, and potentially covert influence tactics. Here is how I would separate them. Tactic described: monitor forums, social media, links, comments, and report on them. That's very normal. Why? Because social listening and media monitoring are standard crisis PR. Track negative narratives and opposition. That's normal. PR teams routinely track sentiment and emerging issues. Respond or engage with audiences. This is normal depending on how. It's normal when the organization or representative is identifiable. It's a different issue if people pose as ordinary fans. Glory said, if you're asking ChatGPT, just be aware this regularly very wrong, like it identified an original Jane Austen book as being written by AI. I am asking Chat, but take it for what it is. I mean, reading this myself, I'll tell you that I think that some of these things are not regular PR and borderline like inappropriate. Like if they actually ended up doing any of these things, it would be borderline inappropriate because it would be astroturfing. It would be putting out something that you think is being written by a regular person, and it's not. It's being written by someone who is part of a team that is trying to make you think something that is not accurate. The saving grace of Justin Baldoni and them is that their evidence came out of swinging. But the reality is, if any of these things were used, there are very questions. I don't need to ask chat. I'm using chat for conciseness, but I'll just tell you what I think from. Okay, I'll take this out and I'll tell you right now which one I don't think is accurate. I mean, not accurate, not good. If it was done, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel about that. And I don't need chat to tell you that. I just like to use it for conciseness. So let me read that. Monitoring and reporting, normal. This starts to have iffiness. The leveraging of relationships with Discord, Reddit, X, IG, TikTok, YouTube to expose behavior of Blake and others, both current and past, and engage directly with communities to adjust or influence the conversations taking place in real time. This gets iffy. Because are you doing it with full exposure that you are doing it? It's one thing for somebody to say, I know, like, I'm part of Justin's team. We're addressing these things. But, you know, we're saying these are not true. Da 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 da. Is another thing to pretend you're not connected and potentially influence people's perspectives on things. Okay. The question is always the utilize CTR manipulation and contextual links to push a positive PR to change subject matter opinion on the first page of Google. I would have to understand what CTR manipulation is, but whenever you have the word manipulation on it, it's not the greatest. This one I think is fine. Working to remove the links, that's fine. Disavow and report outdated cache non-relevant, that's fine. I think. Properly and strategically monitor damaging Reddits, that's fine. The question with these legacy admins is what are they doing? If it's just monitoring and whatever, but if they're responding in a particular way and people don't know they're hired by someone, that gets into astroturfing like areas. Actively sway the algorithm with one SEO charge hub site created and overseen by the team. That I'm more up in the air about that. It depends on what they mean. Organically engaging with audiences in the right way. Well, good. What's the right way? The right way is you tell them you're engaging with them. The right way would be being honest that you're engaging with them and not pretending that you're not engaging with them. Gelf says CTR manipulation is the practice of artificially inflating click-through rates on search engine results using bots, click farms, or hired workers to trick search engines like Google into thinking a page or a business profile is more popular than it is. Kiara said, is this why they thought they paid the content creators? Possibly, because they were thinking maybe with legacy admins. What was that? What does that mean? I mean, they don't say content creators, but somebody's there that has longevity to be able to influence. Christina said, was it for Justin or to help the movie? Redirect the negative stuff about the movie. Justin and the overall narrative is what they said. Not part of it is working against Wayfair Studios, Justin, and the overall narrative. So, yeah. There's some stuff here that's not, I wouldn't say is on the up and up, personally. Especially if it has any, if it has anything where they're not telling you, that, hey, I'm actually with this team. Now, the only way that I could say that it's not shady, it's only if I don't know. It depends. It just genuinely depends. I don't know if any of these things were done necessarily, but we look at some Reddit stuff, right? And some Reddit places, certain accounts are deleted, or we don't see certain things anymore. There are certain articles that, or not articles, there are certain things that were removed. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? I think this is why, in some ways, Pam says it's all shady then because it's always seated discreetly. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Frankly, I agree with that. I agree with that because we found out that even articles where they'll speak on background or off record. Well, we knew always about off record, but speak on background or pretend, like when they say, like, I'll be willing to say something, but you can't use my name. You got to say it's a source, but really their side already communicated something, but it's hidden behind like a source said it. But like literally you're a direct source, but you just don't want to be named. You know what I mean? So I think it's all shady. But I think, again, the saving grace for Justin Baldoni and Wayfair is just they prove themselves to be telling the truth and consistent throughout the whole time. They've never really changed their story. It's always been the same. Versus Blake Lively has changed her story wherever the wind blows her. And that makes it very difficult. Kiara said, I think Jed was full of hot air myself. And Gelf said, I believe the filings proved he was full of it and did nothing and got paid $30,000 for it. And Kiara said, yes, agree. The thing is, I actually do think he did something. I mean, but in the sense of like, I do think he monitored stuff. I do think that he has things on Blake and Ryan and what they tried to do. I think, I mean, that's just a theory that I have. I can't definitively prove that, but I really believe that that's the case. Now, someone once said that Wayfarers and Justin Baldoni's like social media fingerprint is really good. But I mean, and I think it would have been anyway, but there is this line about disavowing and reporting outdated or cached non-relevant links and clean up spam and or negative links that are ranked. So Gal says he claims stuff that we made happen as people and the content creators did. So we should all get a share of that $30,000. Yeah. Yeah. I think definitely there were things that he probably took credit for that it wasn't his doing. because I still think about the text messages that were happening where they were like thinking that Jed was doing it because it was so much in line with what they had discussed in their, I don't know if it's scenario planning or whatever. But it was Melissa who says, nah, like he hasn't even started yet. They haven't hired him yet. So that shows that without Jed Wallace, people were already talking about things. You know what I mean? And that's why maybe Blake Lively thought that he was such a magician that he could change the perspective of people right away. But yeah, like all to say, like, there are things here that just by a basic read, I would say there could be some sketchy stuff here if they actually went about it that way. Because anytime you don't disclose to people that you're working for someone, it can end up seeming to be a deceptive thing. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, what do you mean in the right way? How do you organically engage with audiences in the right way? What does that mean? To me, if you're doing it in the right way, you've disclosed that you're speaking on behalf. You know what I mean? But what I will say is I understand Blake Lively looking at this, and I understand why Blake Lively supporters would look at this and go, there's some sketchiness here. You know what I mean? Now, with that said, do I think that even though I say some of these things I think are inappropriate, do I think that Blake Lively has engaged in some of these things listed on here? Allegedly, I think she has. Yeah. The defamation case against Stephanie Jones is still live. And Jed Wallace is appealing his case against Blake Lively. So we'll see what happens there. So it's what is street relations? It's my understanding that that's Jed's company. And did you and Tag regularly work with street relations? When appropriate, if a client required social or digital mediation or remediation, rather, we would work with Jed as one of the contractors. And in this case, specifically with respect to the Wayfarer account, we did work with Jed. Who else did Tag work with at? There's redactions there and goes down to page 163. It says, have you ever met Mr. Wallace in person? No. And you testified earlier that you had communicated directly with Mr. Wallace, correct? Miss Emery, objection. Across several instances, yes. What were your modes of communication with Mr. Wallace? Primarily signal. What other avenues of communication? Limited email. Any others? No. And did you, and then he jumps to page 259 and says, did you communicate with Mr. Vatuska about Miss Lively at all? Yes. What about? I was connected with him via Melissa Nathan. I was told he was writing a piece for the Daily Mail about how her promotion matched that of Taylor Swift's during her Eras tour. And did you provide him content in connection with his writing that article? I provided him links that were readily available online. And did you read the ultimate article when it came out? I did. And was that article entitled How Blake Lively Copied Best Friend Taylor Swift to Promote It Ends With Us before turning to singer to help crisis manage backlash and Justin Baldoni drama? If that was the story that had James's name on it, then I assume that is, and then it jumps to page 265. Again, I'm not entirely sure if this is the same timeline, but to my recollection, nothing would have caused me to feel anything was a misrepresentation. Miss Case, who is paying your legal expenses? Mr. Breed, objection. I'm not entirely sure. You don't know? No. Who do you think is paying your legal expenses? Mr. Breed, objection. I'm not sure. Are you paying them? I personally am not. Are the Wayfarer parties? Mr. Breed, objection. I'm not sure. Have you had a conversation with anyone regarding who is paying your legal expenses? Mr. Breed, objection. I was given indemnification based on these things happening during my employment at Tag. Indemnification by Tag? It's my it's my understanding, but again, I'm not entirely sure. Um, you are being provided a document that is being marked Case Exhibit 26. Case Exhibit 26 marked for identification. Bates stamped K case dash 00003477. Do you recognize this document? Yes. What is it? A text thread between Brianna and myself. Any reason to believe that this document has been altered since when it was originally made? I don't believe so. If you flip 2 pages to the document numbered 3479 at 10:56 a.m., do you see that you sent a screenshot to, and then it jumps down to page 286. How is your relationship with Melissa now? I have a great deal of respect for Melissa. She has been my mentor for almost a decade. That's why it hurts me to know that Melissa called her a big old fat liar when she wasn't lying. You know what I mean? I hope she talked to Katie that she was going to do that. I hope she at the very least gave Katie a heads up that she was going to do that and that she had a reason for doing that, because that hurts. This is your mentor for 10 years and you're honestly answering the questions. And I say honestly because there's far more outside proof that Katie's telling the truth. So what a bummer if she ended up reading her mentor's deposition calling her a big old liar when she's probably being the more honest one out of the bunch about the level of involvement of some of the things. I have a great deal of respect for Melissa. She has been my mentor for almost a decade. How is your relationship? Conversations have been limited, but again, I hold nothing but respect for Melissa. Has your relationship been strained by this whole case? I don't believe so. No. Has Melissa indicated that that's the case? No. Did you leave Tag because you were unhappy at Tag? No. Why did you leave Tag? I was offered a more for fortuitous opportunity. When was that? That would have been late December, early January. And it jumps to page 374. Prep that they had spoken to anyone representing the Wayfarer parties prior to your preparation? I can't say. Miss Case, are you aware of various websites and social media accounts that are disparaging of Miss Jones? Mr. Breed, objection. I'm aware of websites about Miss Jones. Did you create any of the websites that are disparaging of Miss Jones? No. Who did? I don't know. How did you become aware of the websites that are disparaging of Miss Jones? Mr. Breed, objection. Mr. Friedman, objection. How did you become aware of the website disparaging Miss Jones? I received a call from Melissa in early May. It was communicated to me that a website had been requested. A website had been requested? The creation of a website had been requested. By whom? Mr. Friedman, objection. Mr. Breed, let's designate this AEO, please. Miss Toller, we can go off. The videographer, yeah. Melissa represented to me that a potential new client had requested the formulation of a website. Who was that new client? Mr. Friedman, objection. At the time, it was represented to me that it was redacted. Melissa Nathan told you that redacted had requested preparation of a website about Miss Jones? Friedman, objection. She represented to me that he had requested the creation of a website of this nature. Hi, Elsie. Did she tell you anything else about what redacted had requested? Not what he had requested specifically. Generally what he had requested. Not necessarily what he had requested, but specific language was communicated. What was the specific language? That Stephanie holds clients hostage, that she leaks clients' secrets, and that she treats her employees poorly, amongst others. Miss Nathan told you that redacted had said the things that you just said to her? No. Who did Miss Nathan said that Stephanie holds clients hostage? Mr. Breed, objection. I don't know who might have said that. This language was communicated to me. By Miss Nathan? The conversation was with her, yes. It was a conversation, yes. Did Miss Nathan send you any written communication about this? Not about the language to be used, no. Generally about the websites? At that time, no. At any time? There was conversation about the copy that I had written based on the information provided. I redrafted and sent back to her. Did you draft a copy for the website about Miss Jones? Based on the conversation and the language provided to me, I provided copy. So yes, you wrote the copy that became the website of Miss Jones? Friedman, objection. Based on the language that I was instructed to use. Did anyone else provide you with that language besides Miss Nathan? Mr. Breed, objection. No. And Miss Nathan provided all of this language to you orally? Mr. Friedman, objection. Mr. Breed, objection. She provided language to reference over the phone. Yes. Did she put anything in writing about the language to be used in the website? No. What happened? Did she send an audio message? Mr. Breed, objection. No. What happened after you provided Miss Nathan with a copy? I don't know. Did you come to understand that the copy that you had drafted became a website about Miss Jones? I was made aware of that, yes. Who made you aware of that? Melissa. And what did Melissa tell you? She sent me the link. Oy vey! Oy vey! Oy vey! The link to which website? It might have been the leaks. I don't remember which came first. She sent it to you how? In a text message. And that text message sending Stephanie Jones leaks you recognize as the copy that you had drafted, correct? That's correct. Did Redacted pay Tag to create this website? Mr. Breed, objection. I don't know. Did Redacted become a client of Tag? He did not. Do you know if Miss Nathan had any other conversation with Redacted other than the one you have already discussed? Mr. Breed, objection. Mr. Friedman, objection. I don't know. Did Miss Nathan report to you any other conversations with Redacted other than the one you have already discussed? Mr. Friedman, objection. Mr. Breed, objection. No. Do you recall anything else about the initial conversation with Redacted other than what you have already testified to? Mr. Breed, objection. That wasn't the testimony. It wasn't a conversation with Redacted. What was it with Redacted? I never spoke to Redacted. I had understood that Miss Nathan had spoken with Redacted, and then Miss Nathan reported that to you. Mr. Breed, objection. That wasn't the testimony either. Mr. Friedman, objection. Ms. Toller, I'm asking for clarification. Pam said, well, I guess we can see why she thought Melissa is responsible. Yeah. I'm not aware of whether or not Melissa spoke with Redacted. It was communicated to me that the site was at either his or someone affiliated with him's request. Did she tell you if she ever spoke to him directly? No. Did she tell you who she spoke to about this? No. Case Exhibit 35 marked for identification. Miss Case, you are now receiving a document that has been marked on Case 35. It is a printout of the website, StephanieJonesLeaks.com. Do you recognize this as the copy that you drafted? I believe so, yes. Do you know how this went from the copy that you drafted to becoming a website? I do not. Did Melissa communicate anything to you about how this became a website after you provided her with a copy? Mr. Friedman, objection. No. Do you understand there came a time where this website was shut down? Mr. Breed, objection. No. Did you understand that there came a time where there was a second website? At that time, I wasn't aware that there was a second website. No. After you provided Miss Nathan, and then it jumps down to page 383. With a copy for Exhibit 35, did you have any other discussions with Miss Nathan about websites regarding Miss Jones? Mr. Friedman, objection. Websites, plural, no. I was asked to help alongside her to draft a handful of tweets for the Twitter page. And I was asked again, based on language that I was provided, to extrapolate that into updates to the website. You referred to the Twitter page. What is the Twitter page? I don't recall the specific handle. I was told that at that time The site went public. There was a corresponding Twitter page. Was that Twitter handle lying Steph Jones? Mr. Friedman, objection. I'm not sure. I don't recall what the Twitter page was. Melissa told you that there was a corresponding Twitter handle. She asked if I could assist in drafting tweets, so I inferred that the Twitter handle was related. Did she tell you that the tweets that you had drafted had in fact been posted? She did not communicate that, no. Did you form an understanding that they had been posted? Mr. Friedman, objection, yes. Based on what? Seeing them on the Twitter page. How many tweets did you prepare for the Twitter page? Roughly 5 or 6. How did you provide those to Miss Nathan? I believe maybe Signal. I don't really recall. Do you recall communicating with Miss Nathan on Signal regarding Miss Jones? In relation to the tweet drafts, yes. Do you still have those Signal messages today? No. Why did you communicate with her on Signal? I don't know. Did you frequently communicate with Miss Nathan on Signal? No. You communicated with Miss Nathan to make sure that the messages would disappear, correct? Mr. Breed, objection. Mr. Friedman, objection. No. Was there any other reason to communicate on Signal? To my knowledge, no. Case Exhibit 36 marked for identification. You are reviewing what has been marked as Exhibit 36. It is a Twitter account. Does this refresh your recollection that this is the Twitter account that you reviewed where your tweets were posted? To my recollection, I was only aware of one of them. I believe it was not a Stephanie fan. You are aware of the Twitter account, not a Stephanie fan? To my recollection, that looks like the one that I was aware of. Your tweets were posted to not a Stephanie fan? I don't know. But you weren't aware of any of the other Twitter accounts in Exhibit 36? No. Mr. Breed, objection. Did Melissa create not a Stephanie fan? I don't know. Did she explain to you that a Twitter account was being created? There was never a formal explanation. I was simply asked to draft tweets. Do you know whether Melissa had any other assistance in this? I don't know. Do you know whether she worked with Jed Wallace on this? Mr. Friedman, objection. I spoke with Jed in conjunction to Melissa as it related to the tweets. And what did you and Jed discuss? Friedman, objection. Emery, objection. The tweets. What about the tweets? I provided them via Signal. Was it your understanding that Jed was going to post the tweets? Friedman, objection. Breed, objection. Emery, objection. I don't know. Did you speak with him other than over Signal? Friedman, objection. Emery, objection. No. Did you speak with him other than with regard to sending him these tweets? Breed, objection. Friedman, objection. Emery, objection. I don't recall. Did you speak to him at all in connection with the first website? Friedman, objection. Emery, objection. I don't recall. Were all of your communications with Jed Wallace regarding Stephanie Jones done via Signal? Friedman, objection. Yes. Did Jed Wallace communicate to you that he would like communications to be done over Signal? Breed, objection. Emery, objection. No. How did you understand that you were to communicate over Signal? Is where the thread was. Was the thread among you, Jed, and Melissa? Friedman, objection. Yes. Was anyone else on this thread? No. Was that your only thread with Jed? I don't recall. No. Did you have any other threads related to this topic? Strike that. Did you have any other Signal threads related to this topic of the Twitter accounts or the websites generally with Melissa Nathan and anyone else? Friedman, objection. Emery, objection. And then it jumps down to page 408. Oh. After Miss Abel brought you to work with Wayfarer, correct? Yes. Miss Jones was not involved in Wayfarer hiring Tag, correct? I'm not sure. To your knowledge, did Miss Jones have any knowledge any involvement? I don't know. Did you ever talk to Miss Jones regarding Wayfarer? I did not. When did Melissa Nathan tell you that Miss Abel was leaving Jonesworks? I don't recall specifically. I know it was around the time of her first conversation with Justin. Around Miss Nathan's first conversation with Justin? Yes. Do you recall approximately when that was? Late July. And then it jumps down to 505. Not exactly sure what she did. Is that correct? That's correct. Do you have any ill will of Melissa Nathan? No. Earlier, you testified that the Alexander brothers were turned down by Tag as clients. That's my understanding. Isn't it true that you yourself personally work for them on the side? I wouldn't qualify it as working with them. Are you saying you didn't perform any services whatsoever? for the Alexander brothers. It was requested that I connect with them to create a website in conjunction with their ongoing litigation. And that was not for Tag. It was outside of Tag, right? I'm not sure. Well, Melissa Nathan turned down the Alexander brothers. She didn't want them as clients. Isn't that correct? She didn't want them as clients for Tag, but I did connect with Melissa and Jed as it related to the website. As it related to the Alexander website, were you paid for that? I received payment for work done in conjunction with Jed and Melissa. You are saying that Jed and Melissa did work for the Alexander brothers? I'm saying they asked me to perform work for the Alexander brothers. And the Alexander brothers, when did you do that work? I don't recall off the top of my head. I believe in October. And that was after Tag had turned them down as clients, correct? That's my understanding. Did you do any other work on the side? Miss Toller, objection. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it does not, there's certain aspect that does not look good for Tag. And that's why I think, like, I wish this case could have more of a nuanced conversation. I think it got very black and white for folks immediately, and there were multiple things happening. And I think the reason why it got so black and white is because people cared about different things. Like, I never cared about the smear campaign. Sorry, the alleged smear campaign, that was never my concern. I was concerned about the accusation of sexual harassment. Now, with Blake Lively, when you read her lawsuit, her concern was this alleged smear campaign. But I couldn't care less. I just couldn't. It's like, I just feel like everybody throws mud. I guess I felt like it's somebody just bemoaning something that seems very like, okay. I mean, it wasn't a really big deal, but it is a big deal to be accused of SH. So that was always my concern. And on that front, I feel like it was proven that's not the case. Now, whether I still am TBD in regards to how I feel about Tag, about Melissa, about Jed, about, about things on that level. I need to see a lot more. But some of these things just do not look good for Tag. And I understand where Blake's supporters, if that's the thing that they're most concerned about, feel like, oh, there's proof in this end. I just don't think, for me, I couldn't care less about it. But I do care if somebody was being falsely accused of SH, which I really genuinely felt was the case in this situation. And then, to me, the evidence asserts that. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Anyways, I'm tired, and it's almost been a little less than 2.5 hours. Thank you for spending time with me. Have a great day. Bye.